Once upon a time, I was engaged to a man I believed I would spend my life with, but fate had other plans for us, all thanks to my sister. In those dark days, I was devastated. Now, though, I have found new joy and I'm eager to share it with my sister and my dear friend Ethan. My name is Grace. I'm not stunningly beautiful, just an ordinary office worker. There was a man named David who had promised to marry me. David was the handsome type with a career in a prestigious firm, the kind of guy people call a catch. We were blissfully happy in a way that made me believe it would never end. But then life's cruelty intervened, and I never did marry David, all because of my sister. My sister's name is Sophia. She has always had a keen interest in fashion, which she maintains to this day. Unlike me, Sophia has always been meticulous about her appearance and has always been naturally beautiful. As a result, she attracted attention from boys since middle school and even had a stint as an amateur model for a fashion magazine. Sophia harbors dreams of becoming a professional model. Meanwhile, after graduating from college and settling into a routine job at a regular company, I found myself invited to dinner by a business associate named David. Over time, we got to know each other better through these dinners, and unexpectedly, something began to develop between us. That evening, David invited me out to dinner after work. I accepted without hesitation, enjoying his company. On our way back, David surprised me by confessing his feelings. Though taken aback, I realized I had feelings for him too, and so began our relationship. A year later, David proposed, and I happily accepted. Shortly after our engagement, David and I visited my parents to share the news. They were delighted, and discussions about wedding plans filled our home with joy. However, not everyone shared in our happiness. That person was my younger sister, Sophia. Sophia was shocked to hear about my engagement and even more so when she met David. Always popular and admired for her looks, Sophia had a history of dismissing my more reserved romantic life. "I don't want my embarrassing sister to ruin my reputation," she would often say. Seeing me, whom she considered less socially adept, marry a successful man from a prestigious company seemed to bruise her pride deeply. Yet, I remained unaware of Sophia's true feelings, oblivious to her subtle disdain. Looking back, I should have noticed her demeanor. One day, Sophia casually asked, "Since you're going to be my brother-in-law, can we exchange contact information?" David and I saw no reason to refuse, so we exchanged numbers without hesitation. As I neared the end of my job tenure, there were many late nights spent wrapping up projects. Then, on a day when my parents were away, Sophia put her plan into motion, a plan she likely devised long before, knowing I would soon leave our family home to live with David. Sophia seized her opportunity. She called David, fabricating a story. "David, my sister suddenly came home sick. Our parents are out of town, and I'm feeling uneasy being alone. Could you come over?" Deceived by her ruse, David, who was just finishing work, rushed to her house without suspecting anything. "Sophia, I rushed over because I heard Grace was ill." "Where is she?" David's concern was palpable, and naturally, he assumed I was home. But Sophia quickly admitted, "I'm sorry, David. I lied to you. My sister isn't sick, she's still at work." Instead of anger, David responded with a puzzled expression. "Why would you lie about that?" Sophia, visibly nervous, began to explain. Meanwhile, after finishing my workday, I arrived home to an unexpected sight. David was there. Despite the surprise, I greeted him cheerfully. "Oh, you're here. What's up?" Little did I know this moment would soon bring the deepest despair and sadness I had ever known. "Grace, I'm sorry. I think we should break up." David's words hit me like a sudden storm. Unable to grasp their meaning at first, I stammered, "What? Are you serious? Break up? What's going on?" As I pressed for answers, Sophia entered the room, casting an uneasy atmosphere over us. "Grace, the truth is I've been seeing Sophia." I'm sorry, but I've fallen in love with her more than I realized. David's words left me stunned and confused. Still reeling from the shock, Sophia added, I'm sorry, Grace, but David has decided to marry me. I felt utterly lost and devastated. Sophia, with an awkward attempt at comfort, said, You might not want to attend our wedding ceremony, but please come to the reception, won't you? Tears were all I could manage. Sophia had stolen my fiancé away from me. I felt abandoned, and the pain was overwhelming. My parents were deeply concerned, watching helplessly as I withdrew into my room. Having already quit my job, I felt utterly powerless. Messages from my former coworkers asking about the wedding plans only intensified my sorrow. I could only reply, explaining it would be a simple family affair. Months later, I found myself in a new and unfamiliar place, determined to begin anew and find true happiness. After the painful breakup with David, I had withdrawn for a time, but a newfound determination welled up inside me. Why should I continue to suffer? It was time to move on. Things progressed swiftly from there. I spoke with my parents, deciding to leave home and start afresh in a completely different environment. The new place was surrounded by lush greenery. My parents supported my decision wholeheartedly, assisting me greatly with the relocation. Shortly after settling in, while taking a moment to relax, my mom approached me with surprising news. While you were in your room, David visited. He explained everything that happened between you two and apologized. I couldn't fathom why my parents were apologizing. What David had done was beyond forgiveness. Yet there they were, even kneeling in remorse. We've also heard about Sophia. We understand you can't forgive her, Grace, but she's our daughter too, my parents explained, visibly torn. They were deeply troubled by Sophia's actions, knowing the pain she had caused me. Despite their disapproval, Sophia seemed to have made her choice and went to David. From then on, David began a daily ritual of coming to our house, pleading for forgiveness and seeking approval for his marriage to Sophia. Faced with David's persistence, my parents eventually felt compelled to relent. That's why they apologized to me for accepting his union with Sophia. I honestly don't dwell on it anymore, but I understand how you feel, I replied with a bittersweet smile, holding back the tears. My mom was visibly emotional, while my dad wore a pained expression of apology. Despite everything, I reassured them, when I have children, I'll lean on you both a lot. Their faces softened into smiles at my words. My mom, still teary-eyed, added, Don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything. As I settled into my new life and found some peace of mind, I began working at a cozy little restaurant. The team was small, but the atmosphere was bright and welcoming, which I appreciated greatly. The banter among the staff, especially the teasing directed at the manager, Lucas, added to the warmth of the place. A few months into my job, a pivotal event unfolded that would shape my future. It happened one evening as Lucas offered me a ride home after work and confessed his feelings for me. I was taken aback and uncertain. Lucas was genuinely a good guy, kind-hearted with both charm and a friendly demeanor that appealed to many. Yet I couldn't shake off the past hurt that still lingered within me. I feared the possibility of facing abandonment once again. Lucas seemed to sense my hesitation and assured me there was no rush for an answer before heading home for the day. Despite the initial awkwardness, the familiar camaraderie with the part-time staff and Lucas's kindness helped ease my worries. Deep down, I felt my heart had already made a decision. During a break, I discovered something about Lucas's past. It turned out he had been betrayed by someone he had been dating and had a rough experience at his previous workplace before joining the restaurant. We shared a similar pain of betrayal by those we trusted. That day, I chose to accompany Lucas home to listen to his story. Along the way, he opened up about his past. He had previously managed a store, but due to certain events, the store lost credibility and eventually closed down. Lucas bore the brunt of the blame and lost his job as a result. After hearing Lucas's story, I felt compelled to share my own reasons for being at the restaurant. When I finished, Lucas looked at me kindly and said, "You are incredibly strong. His words meant the world to me, acknowledging my resilience despite the pain I endured. It was exactly what I needed to hear. I did my best. Despite being betrayed by someone I loved, I managed to pick myself up, I confessed, acknowledging the difficulty of my journey. To which Lucas sincerely added, "You've done amazingly well too." Lucas's smile grew wider, and in that moment, I found the courage to respond to his earlier confession. "Since that day, I might be a handful, but I hope you'll be patient with me," I told him. From then on, the teasing from the part-timers at the restaurant increased, but it was all in good spirit. "Congratulations! Wishing you both a lifetime of happiness," they cheered, genuinely happy for us. "That's a bit premature," Lucas teased, a bit flustered. "There's a right time for that wine, and it'll come around again. When it does, you better let me say it." I laughed along with everyone else. It was a moment of pure joy, a typical day in our lives until things took a turn. For the second time in my life, I was proposed to. Without hesitation, I accepted, determined to find lasting happiness this time. I believed Lucas was the one who could truly make me happy. I visited my parents' house for the first time in a while to share the news, and they were overjoyed. Opening up about Lucas, I felt their support as they said, "Please make our daughter happy. We trust you." "I will make Grace happy," he asserted confidently. After chatting for a while, my dad hesitated before sharing, "Sophia and David are going to get married." He mentioned that an invitation might arrive but insisted I needn't worry about it. Truthfully, I wasn't bothered. I was too wrapped up in my own happiness. In fact, I wanted to celebrate it openly. When I expressed this to my parents, they responded warmly, "If Grace feels that way, then we trust your judgment." Sure enough, a few days later, an invitation to Sophia's wedding arrived. I decided we would attend together. Lucas and I had opted for a simple legal marriage due to Sophia's impending wedding. We felt it would be less overwhelming for our parents and relatives to stagger our celebrations. It had been a while
We promised
since we had
ourselves a
seen
proper
Sophia
wedding
and
ceremony
David. Once things had settled
David
down, appeared weary, and there was a tension in the air as we exchanged greetings and introductions with family. When I proudly introduced Lucas as my husband, Sophia's reaction was visibly surprised, etching the moment into memory. During the event, I found myself wanting to ask David about what had transpired between him and Sophia on the day when neither my parents nor I were present. David initially hesitated but eventually began to confide in me. According to him, when Sophia called him that day and informed him falsely that I was suddenly ill, David decided to wait for me. But Sophia arrived with strong drinks, coaxing him to indulge. Despite not being a heavy drinker, David had a few too many and became intoxicated. In his vulnerable state, Sophia took advantage of the situation and seduced him. David admitted that Sophia's beauty and allure played a role in clouding his judgment. Despite our engagement, he succumbed to temptation, and from then on, his attention began to drift towards Sophia. After hearing David's confession, his repeated apologies seemed insignificant to me. Honestly, I felt indifferent. What mattered most was finally knowing the truth. Meanwhile, Lucas and Sophia were engaged in a conversation nearby. I was curious about their discussion but decided to inquire later, considering Sophia's upcoming wedding. On our way home, I couldn't resist asking Lucas, "Were you upset when you were talking to Sophia?" Lucas sighed. "As I mentioned before, she's my ex who betrayed me. But that's not all. She's also the reason I lost my job." I was taken aback. It felt like such a small world, and learning that Sophia was directly responsible for the closure of Lucas's shop added another layer of shock. I delved deeper into the situation. It turned out that a few months into Sophia's relationship with Lucas, she had an affair with a designer. Sophia believed dating someone in the modeling industry would be more advantageous despite already being with Lucas. When Lucas discovered this by chance, he understandably confronted Sophia. However, instead of showing remorse, Sophia became angry, and the relationship ended abruptly. Sophia's anger did not dissipate. She went further, fabricating a fake photo of foreign objects and dishes from Lucas's restaurant and shared it on social media. Given her modeling career, she had a substantial following, and the photos quickly went viral. The negative publicity reached Lucas's boss, who had entrusted the business to him amid declining profits. The resulting closure of the restaurant led to Lucas losing his job, with him unfairly shouldering the blame. Lucas harbored deep resentment over the incident. Not knowing the true culprit behind the fabricated photo, he was left without a target for his anger. Amidst the turmoil, Lucas finally discovered the truth during a casual drink with a friend. His girlfriend's friend had seen Sophia boasting on social media about causing the closure of a restaurant, unaware that the restaurant belonged to Lucas. The friend relayed this information to Lucas. Though Lucas now knew who was responsible, it was too late to take any action, so he resolved to make a fresh start elsewhere. It was then that Lucas and I crossed paths. I approached Lucas with an apology. "I'm sorry for what my sister did. I'm the sister of the person who caused so much trouble in your life. I didn't know how to face you. I was afraid you might hate me." Lucas's response was unexpectedly kind. "It's all in the past, Grace. None of this was your fault." His words brought me immense relief, reaffirming our decision to pursue happiness together once more. Later, Sophia faced consequences for her actions. She had arranged a photo shoot at an unexpected location, our home, known for its lush greenery and picturesque backdrop. The deal for modeling the shoot was evidently part of her ambition to pursue a modeling career. The incident took place during dinner at a restaurant she had visited, which happened to be Lucas's. Since I no longer worked at Lucas's restaurant, I heard about this incident afterward. Upon recognizing Sophia at the entrance, Lucas promptly intervened, stating firmly, "I'm sorry, but I can't allow you to enter here." He refused Sophia and her group access, prompting the staff to inquire about the situation. Lucas proceeded to disclose Sophia's past actions and the hardships he had endured because of her. "She has a criminal record, and I have evidence to support it. I can't risk a repeat of past troubles, so I must refuse her entry." There was stunned silence among the staff, and Sophia visibly. Our wedding day dawned bright and beautiful, filled with the promise of a new beginning. Surrounded by our closest friends and family, Lucas and I exchanged vows, promising to love and support each other through all of life's ups and downs. The ceremony was simple yet heartfelt, a true reflection of our journey together. After the ceremony, we gathered for a small reception at the same cozy restaurant where Lucas and I first met. The atmosphere was warm and filled with laughter as our friends and family toasted to our happiness. Even the part-time staff from the restaurant joined in the celebration, their cheers and well wishes adding to the joyous occasion. During the reception, my parents approached me with teary eyes and heartfelt smiles. "We're so proud of you, Grace," my mom said, her voice quivering with emotion. "You've come so far and found true happiness. We couldn't be happier for you." My dad nodded in agreement, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Lucas, we trust you to take care of our daughter. You have our blessing and our love." Lucas squeezed my hand and looked at my parents with sincere gratitude. "Thank you both. I promise to love and cherish Grace for the rest of my life." As the evening progressed, I found a moment to speak with my sister, Sophia. She had been uncharacteristically quiet throughout the day, her usual confidence replaced by a more subdued demeanor. I decided it was time for a heartfelt conversation. "Sophia, can we talk?" I asked, gently leading her to a quieter corner of the restaurant. She nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of regret and hope. "Of course, Grace. I want you to know that despite everything that happened, I still care about you," I began, my voice soft but firm. "You're my sister, and while it will take time to heal, I hope we can find a way to move forward." Sophia's eyes welled up with tears, and she reached out to take my hand. "Grace, I'm so sorry for all the pain I've caused you. I was selfish and thoughtless. I don't expect forgiveness right away, but I want to make amends and rebuild our relationship. Her sincerity touched my heart, and I squeezed her hand in return. "We'll take it one step at a time, Sophia. Just know that I'm willing to try." As we rejoined the celebration, I felt a sense of peace and closure. The past had been painful, but it had also led me to where I was now, a place of love, happiness, and new beginnings. Later that night, as Lucas and I stood under the starlit sky, we reflected on our journey together. "We've been through so much, Grace," Lucas said, his arm wrapped around my waist. "But standing here with you, I know it was all worth it." I leaned into him, feeling the warmth of his love and the promise of our future together. "Yes, it was worth it, Lucas. And I'm excited for all the adventures that lie ahead." With that, we embraced the night, ready to face the future hand in hand, knowing that love and resilience had brought us here, and that together, we could overcome anything. The days following our wedding were filled with a blissful calm. Lucas and I settled into our new life together, the promise of a bright future ahead of us. Each day felt like a celebration of love and resilience, a testament to the strength we had found in each other. One evening, a few weeks after the wedding, Lucas and I were sitting on our porch, enjoying the peacefulness of our new home. The stars above twinkled like diamonds, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves around us. "Grace, there's something I've been meaning to talk to you about," Lucas said, his voice filled with both excitement and a hint of nervousness. I turned to him, intrigued. "What is it, Lucas?" He took a deep breath, then smiled. "I've been thinking a lot about our future, and I want us to start a family. I know we have so much love to give, and I can't wait to share that with a child." His words warmed my heart, and I felt tears of joy welling up in my eyes. "I want that too, Lucas. I've always dreamed of having a family with you." We held each other close, the excitement of starting a family adding a new layer of happiness to our lives. In the weeks that followed, we began making plans, talking about baby names, and dreaming about the life we would build for our child. One afternoon, while I was at work at the restaurant, I started feeling a bit dizzy and queasy. At first, I thought it was just fatigue, but the symptoms persisted. A colleague suggested I might be pregnant, and my heart skipped a beat at the thought. I decided to take a pregnancy test the next morning. The following day, with Lucas by my side, I took the test. The minutes felt like hours as we waited for the result. Finally, the test showed positive. We were going to have a baby. Lucas lifted me off the ground, twirling me around in joy. "We're going to be parents," he exclaimed, his eyes shining with happiness. We shared the news with our families, and their reactions were heartwarming. My parents were over the moon, and even Sophia, despite the rocky past, seemed genuinely happy for us. "I'm going to be an aunt," she said, tears of joy in her eyes. As my pregnancy progressed, Lucas and I grew even closer. He was incredibly supportive, attending every doctor's appointment and taking care of me in every possible way. We decorated the nursery together, choosing soft, pastel colors and adorable baby decorations. The anticipation of welcoming our little one filled our home with love and excitement. One sunny afternoon, while Lucas and I were walking through a local park, he stopped and turned to me, his expression serious but full of love. "Grace, I want you to know how much I appreciate you. You've brought so much joy and stability into my life, and I can't wait to see you as a mother. Our child is going to be so lucky to have you." I smiled, my heart swelling with love for him. "And I can't wait to see you as a father, Lucas. Our child will have the best dad in the world." As we continued our walk, hand in hand, I felt a sense of completeness and contentment. Life had thrown its challenges at us, but we had emerged stronger and more in love than ever. Months later, on a beautiful spring morning, our baby girl was born. We named her Ella, after the flower that symbolized purity and new beginnings. Holding her in my arms for the first time was the most profound and beautiful moment of my life. As Lucas and I looked at our daughter, we knew that every hardship we had faced had led us to this perfect moment. Our journey had been filled with ups and downs, but it had brought us to a place of immeasurable happiness. Our little family was complete, and we were ready to embrace the future together, knowing that love, resilience, and the strength to overcome any obstacle would always guide us.